Four Being Hearts here, and today's video is on what is the best hamster to get. Now, I have had experience with males and females, Syrians and dwarfs, all different types of hamsters, so today's video will be not that biased because there are certain hamsters that I have fallen in love with and others that I have had not so great experiences with. You will notice in today's video that I am really stuffed up. I'm getting over a cold. I've had a cold for actually like 3 weeks now, so I'm gonna go to the doctor, see what's wrong with me. Today's video will be especially helpful if you are a first-time hamster owner, or even if you just have a hamster that and just want to figure out if your hamster that you have is the best tempered or the best looking or whatever. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so the different types of hamsters include, in the Syrian hamster category, there are the teddy bear Syrian, the long-haired Syrian, the European hamster, which is the biggest hamster, and in the dwarf hamsters, there's the Ravarovsky dwarf hamster, the Chinese dwarf hamster, the Russian hamster, and the winter white hamster. Alright, so let's start off with the first hamster, which is the short-haired teddy bear Syrian hamster. So if you have seen the Four Hopping Hearts social media accounts, you'll see all over we have just gotten a new member to our family, which is Charlotte. She is right here. She is a short-haired teddy bear female Syrian hamster. Now, one thing that I noticed about her is she's very timid. Now, I don't know if that's from her, when she was raised she was like that, or I don't know, but every single female Syrian teddy bear short-haired hamster I've had experienced or had, they've been very nippy and they want to bite, and so I don't recommend those types of hamsters, especially females, if you are a first-time hamster owner. Now, why you want to stay away from females is because they can be very hormonal, meaning the hormones in them, and I've never heard of, spaying a hamster before, but the hormones in a female hamster can cause them to bite and be snippy, and I mean, just like female humans, they get that time of the month as well, and when that does happen, they can be quite nippy, and, they bite, and they're very, just snippy and rude. Now, they just like to bite a lot. So for first-time hamster owners, I don't suggest getting a female hamster because of those reasons. I suggest getting a male hamster because they're less likely to bite because they don't have the same hormones that cause females to bite. So it's a little different ballgame there. But I do have a male hamster, Prince. I've had him for a while now, about a year, and he has never bit me. He's very calm, very mellow, and he is a long-haired male hamster. So, yeah. And the Ravarovsky hamsters, that's another type of hamster I will talk about. They are very fast, and I do not recommend them if you are a first-time hamster owner. Yes, they're very cute, they're very, fluffy, and you just want to hold them and cuddle them, but they're not the hamster for that. They're very fast, they love to run around and just pace around the cage and freak out, and yeah, so it's hard to hold them. I've actually seen people, like if you check out Joy Georgia on YouTube, she had 2 hamsters, Sparky, and I can't remember the other names, but her hamster, she actually used to feed them like baby medicine to calm them down, like a baby relaxation, little tablets or whatever, and she used to feed them to her Ravarovsky hamsters so she could hold them and calm them down and actually handle them. So those are very, zippy, fast little guys, and I don't recommend them if you're a first-time hamster owner. However, if you are pretty experienced with hamsters, I do recommend getting those because they're very interesting to watch. And if you're experienced, you'll be able to hold them and tame them and all that sort of stuff without losing them or having them, run around your room or anything like that crazy. So the other type of hamsters are the, let's see, I have a list right here. Let me check. I wrote down the different types of hamsters. Okay, so the European hamster. So I've actually never had any experience with this type of hamster, but they're very large hamsters. Now, when you go to a pet store, most of the time they won't have any of these European hamsters. I've never seen one in my life, except for online. But they're pretty big. I mean, they're about like this big, like the size of a corn dog, like the size of like a hot dog or something. They look pretty big. I don't know the temperament of those hamsters, but for my knowledge of rabbits, the bigger the rabbit, the nicer and more friendlier and more mellow the rabbit is going to be. So it's probably the same way with hamsters. I'm not quite sure. You might want to do a little research on that yourself, but yeah. And so the Chinese dwarf hamsters. Now, let me tell you about the Chinese dwarf hamster. I have had 2 of these. Like I've kept them, you know, for the hamster lifespan. I've had them throughout their whole life. And both of them were... I have not had good experiences with either of them. One of them tried to escape every night and would escape from her cage, and I'd find her... She'd be upstairs in my bedroom, and I'd find her on the stairs, you know, with the cat or something like that. And she would bite me all the time. Again, this was a female. And the other hamster I've had that was a wait, are these... Oh, shoot. Darn it. Okay, scratch that. Next, the Chinese dwarf hamster. Now, I've never had a Chinese dwarf hamster, but these are the types of hamsters that have the long tails, you know? I mean, they're not long like a rat or anything, but their tails are much longer than a normal hamster's tail would be. So their tails are about this big, I'm guessing. But I've never had one of these hamsters before, so I couldn't tell you, again, same situation with the European hamster, I couldn't tell you what the temperament is like, or other things like that. But I will link in the description box below videos on people that own these types of hamsters and what they're like and how to take care of them and things like that. So next is the Russian hamster. Now we're getting into the dwarf hamster category. Actually, the Rovorowski hamsters, they fall into the dwarf hamster category as well. I just didn't mention that when I was talking about them. So the Russian hamster, I have had 2 of these hamsters, and I have not had a good experience with these hamsters at all. One of them, she would, again, this was a female, so was the other one. She would try to escape every night, and she would bite all the time. I actually got to the point where I had to have gloves on when I was just cleaning her cage or putting her in her hamster ball to let her run around. So that was not fun. And then the other hamster, she would just, you know, my mom actually tried to put food in her dish, and just by putting food in, the hamster ran up and bit her finger, and my mom tried to flick the hamster off her hand, and the hamster grabbed on to her finger, and she like smacked her hand all over the place, and the hamster like hit the wall and fell on the floor. It was pretty dramatic, pretty bad. So I do not recommend those hamsters, especially if you're a first-time hamster owner. Now, with all these hamsters that I'm talking about right now, this is just my experience and how I've been with these types of hamsters. This doesn't mean, you know, every single hamster of this species is going to act a certain way. I know people that have Russian dwarf hamsters, and they've been perfectly fine and very nice, mellow hamsters. But from my experience, I do not recommend them, but that is just me. There are other people with other preferences. So the next hamster is the winter white hamster. Again, I have not had experience with this hamster, but I have. They're pretty similar to the Russian dwarf hamster in size and in body shape. They're pretty similar. Their temperament, I don't know their temperament. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description box below. And yeah, so what you guys have all been waiting for, after listing these 7 different types of hamsters, the best one I recommend is a male. and it is a male Syrian long-haired hamster. Now these hamsters, unlike the European hamster, they can be found in pet stores. They Petco, PetSmart, Pets at Home, whatever pet store you shop at, they probably have them there. So I recommend these hamsters because they're just so fluffy and cute, and they just makes me happy just thinking about them. They're such sweet hamsters. They're so mellow, and in fact, when I went to Petco, because I was looking into getting another hamster, I had a hamster and she had just passed away. So to kind of get my mind off her, I wanted to, you know, I don't know, get rid of her burden by getting another hamster. So the lady that I talked to, she said, yeah, I had all these different hamsters. I had like a Ravaraski and a Chinese and a Russian hamster and all these different types of hamsters. But the one I really liked was the long-haired male Syrian hamster. So I said, oh great, but they didn't have any there at the time, so I waited a few weeks, came back, they had one, and I named him Prince, and yeah, so I recommend these hamsters. They're very sweet, and you can handle them, and they're not like the Ravaraski. They won't, zip around the cage, and I mean, some of them have more energy than others, but as they get older, when they're about 1 year, that sort of range, that's when they really start to mellow out and get really easy to handle. And yeah, I recommend that hamster. I'm actually gonna show you him right now. Prince, such a sweet guy. I love him. So let me go grab him and I will show you guys him. So here's Prince, if you guys can see him. Oh, he's so sweet, so sweet. He's a really nice guy. He's really cute, really fluffy, doesn't mind being handled. So that was our video for today. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. I had a lot of fun making it, especially taking Prince out. That was really cool to show you guys him. And that was probably his first time in front of the camera. So he did pretty good. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Bye bye guys.